We've got a brand new Disney Plus Simpsons short, and this time, resident Springfield villain Sideshow Bob is teaming up with the greatest villains from the Disney universe, just in time for Halloween. Tons of Easter eggs and character cameos here, so let's break it down. The short kicks off with Sideshow Bob, voiced here by character veteran Kelsey Grammer, wishing everyone the most wonderful time of the year. Halloween. It's revealed that he's sitting in the Simpson family living room with Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa and Maggie all held hostage and tied up to the couch while their house burns down and family pet Snowball 2 barbecues. Bob then breaks out into his very own Disney villain song, and throughout the short cartoon he's joined by some of the greatest villains from the Disney canon. Firstly, the Headless Horseman makes an appearance in shadow form, notably the lead villain from Disney Animation's most beloved Halloween classic, the Sleepy Hollow segment from The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. The pumpkin, or really just a generic Halloween pumpkin, also appears at the end of the cartoon. The evil queen from Snow White in her old hag disguise appears brewing poison, and then deep-cut villain Amos Slade from The Fox and the Hound appears taking shots at Bambi and his mother. Slade was, of course, depicted as a hunter in Fox and the Hound, and the hunter, simply referred to as Man, is never seen in Bambi. Amos Slade being the killer of Bambi's mum is actually one of the longest persisting Disney theories, so this is quite a clever gag. It's also not the first time one of these Simpsons shorts has made a dark Bambi gag.
No! Not another hunter! Take Bambi, not me!
Bob is soon joined in a chorale of villains as they sing their lungs out to Bob's Halloween-centric version of Christmas classic It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. He's joined by Aladdin's Jafar, The Lion King's Scar, Beauty and the Beast's Gaston, Tangled's Mother Gothel, The Jungle Book's Kaa, Hades from Hercules, the evil queen is the old hag from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, The Little Mermaid's Ursula, Peter Pan's Captain Hook, Sleeping Beauty's Maleficent, Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians, Frozen's Prince Hans, and Alice in Wonderland's Queen of Hearts. Here, Bob and the villains are seen in Disney Villain Land, known as the happiest bad guys on Earth. This is, of course, a reference to Disneyland being the happiest place on Earth. Gothel, Jafar, Ursula, and the Queen of Hearts all join each other in chorus, as do Gaston, Cruella, and the Jungle Book's Shere Khan. Classic Mickey Mouse villain Pegleg Pete also later appears in a battle against the Simpsons' Itchy from the Itchy and Scratchy show, while the Big Bad Wolf, originally appearing in Walt Disney's 1933 silly symphony The Three Little Pigs, is seen blowing down the Flanders house, and Honest John and Gideon from Pinocchio make a brief cameo in the end credits. Meanwhile, many villains from other Disney-owned properties appear. Of course, Darth Vader from Star Wars makes an appearance, red lightsaber in hand, possibly on top of the Death Star. Damn it, Disney, why you make Star Wars so dumb? This would not be possible. Death Star is too small or Vader is a giant here. Thanks for ruining Star Wars and The Simpsons. Thanos from the Marvel Universe appears, snapping various Springfieldians and Disney characters out of existence. We'll come back to them later. Marvel's Loki also appears, conjuring up a rake and throwing back to a classic recurring Sideshow Bob gag, most notably from the Season 5 episode Cape Fear. We also get a couple of brief appearances from Agatha Harkness, the antagonist from Marvel's WandaVision and the protagonist from Marvel's Agatha All Along, currently airing on Disney+. Gotta love that cross-promotion synergy. Various other Disney characters also make appearances. Mulan and Mushu from Mulan appear amongst those snapped by Thanos, as do Alice in Wonderland's Tweedledum and Tweedledee, and the Red and White Queen. These two aren't seen in the animated film, but are characters in the live-action films. Their depictions here, however, are reminiscent of John Tenniel's illustrations from Lewis Carroll's original 1871 novel Through the Looking Glass. Thanks to my pal Daniel Lamon for pointing this one out to me on Twitter. Go follow him, he writes and makes some great stuff. Aladdin's Sultan is turned into a frog by Jafar, and he's later seen being kissed by Tiana from Princess and the Frog, turning not back into the Sultan, but into Kaa. The 101 Dalmatians swarm Cruella in front of her mansion. Princesses Snow White from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, and Rapunzel from Tangled also appear, alongside deep-cut characters Hansel and Gretel from the 1932 Walt Disney Silly Symphony Babes in the Woods. Oh, and they also get snapped by by Thanos. Many of Springfield's other resident villains and antagonists appear throughout the cartoon, many of them joining Bob and the Disney villains in song. These include the Reverend's wife, Helen Lovejoy, Lucille Botzkowski, the babysitter bandit from Season 1 episode Some Enchanted Evening, Springfield's much-maligned resident business executive, Lindsay Nagel, local gangsters, Legs and Louie, Herman of Herman's Military Antiques War Memorabilia Store, Springfield's mean lawmaker Judge Constance Harm, the legendary Bond-esque villain Hank Scorpio from the classic Season 8 episode You Only Move Twice, the Simpsons movie's lead villain Russ Cargill, the head of the EPA, mobster boss Fat Tony, and his second-in-command Johnny Tightlips. Of course, there's the evil miser himself, Mr. Burns, the ratchety Agnes Skinner, resident petty crim Snake Jailbird, and travelling con artist Lyle Lanley from classic Season 4 episode Marge vs. the Monorail. Springfield Elementary bullies Nelson Muntz, Jimbo Jones, Kearney Zizwix, and Dolph Starbeam are also seen toilet papering the Simpsons house, and later seen beating up Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed, the evil hyenas from The Lion King. Patty and Selma are seen depicted as witches alongside Agatha during the credits. Treehouse of Horror recurring villains Kang and Kodos, the tentacled aliens, are seen strangling the tentacled squid woman Ursula. Yes, she's a squid, not an octopus. Fight me over it.
And many people call her an octopus, and I'm so knowledgeable, I have to correct them and say, no, she is not an octopus, she is a squid.
Other Springfieldians seen in the short include Lenny, Carl, Principal Seymour Skinner, Super Nintendo Chalmers, and Terry and Sherry, all amongst those snapped by Thanos. Dr. Julius Hibbert appears in the end credits. And of course, there's that itchy cameo and those poor Flanderuses. Other random references include an appearance by the Brothers Grimm, Jacob and Wilhelm, the authors of the original fairy tales upon which many Disney animated films are based. In a very bizarre reference, Bart also appears in the cartoon numerous times dressed as Alex the Droog from 1972's Stanley Kubrick movie A Clockwork Orange. An interesting Halloween costume from Bart, especially considering Clockwork is a Warner Brothers feature, but keen fans will recognise this as a costume that Bart wore in the 1992 Season 4 episode Treehouse of Horror 3. Rounding out the cartoon are a series of gag paintings. We have Droog Bart about to slaughter Sideshow Bob in a very horrific way, Homer acting as a circus ringleader spurring on a fight between Shere Khan and Scar, Captain Hook in his flying ship, popping the balloons in Carl's floating house from Pixar's Up, the old hag selling poison apples outside the Poison Apple store, Dr. Hibbert performing heart surgery on the Queen of Hearts as her card soldiers watch on, Agatha and her fellow witches Patty and Selma, Honest John and Gideon from Pinocchio leading a pack of children turned donkeys, including Ralph, Nelson, Martin and Sherry and Terry, and Sideshow Bob riding a rake as a broom. The short rounds out with the classic Disney Gracie Films logo featuring Mickey, while Bart, dressed as Droog Alex, pops in to spray paint the end logos, and then randomly, stock cinema sound effect, the Wilhelm scream, plays off screen. And that rounds us out. Until the next one.
Tired gag.
So what did you think of the Simpsons Disney Plus short Most Wonderful Time of the Year? What was your favourite cameo and who else would you have liked to see here? As always, join the conversation down below.